from the station that's on your side. This is News 12, first at 4.
One suspect dead, a second in custody, and 3 law enforcement officers shot after a police chase right outside of Atlanta this morning. How officers say this all started and the latest on where that investigation stands. Plus, we've seen it in adults, but now doctors are keeping their eyes on our kids, too. How long-haul clinics are helping children recover from COVID-19. But first, we have a traffic alert to pass along as we take a live look here right over the I-20 bridge, courtesy of EarthCam. The lanes are starting to open back up after an accident with injuries on I-20 just across the Georgia state line. So you can see things finally starting to crawl there on your screen. But the crash was reported just before 3 o'clock, right at mile marker 1. And we know the left lane was closed just before the West Martintown Road exit. But as you can see, it seems like things have opened up and are starting to get back to normal over that way. But we'll keep you posted as we learn more about that crash. It was a busy Masters weekend here in Augusta, and the tournament's April return did not disappoint as Hideki Matsuyama made Masters victory and history. While Matsuyama celebrates, so are our local businesses. If you drove down Washington Road, you could probably tell business was booming out there. That's where News 12's Brady Trapnell is live. So Brady, what are business owners saying about the week?
Well, Laura, I spoke with T-Bones, and they told me that this was far from a normal Masters week, but it was definitely better than what they saw in November. Many patrons made their way in to have a meal here, along with Joe Montana. Even a few golfers made their way to T-Bones to have a steak, and of course, that's positive news for many businesses across this area, but it was a mixed bag for others. Even just across the street here over at Half Moon Outfitters, they say it was busier leading into spring break rather than Masters week, and last week was about normal business overall, so not too much to report there. But Design Images and Gifts in Surrey Center says their business was as busy as normal for a Masters tournament. They say their customers were sprucing up the house, and it was crazy busy at their store. Meanwhile, T-Bones hopes they can carry the momentum from a busy week into Mother's Day.
It wasn't like a normal Masters. It was definitely better than November, but it was a busy week, and we just want to kind of springboard that happiness and just create that with the locals.
Sorry, going to let that ambulance pass by so you can actually hear me, but there's no doubt that the energy is still here across town. As you can see behind me, Washington Road still backed up, and the energy is just pretty palpable in this town right now because of just how busy things were during the week. Of course, business is still hoping to be booming over the next several weeks, and we'll get into that on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
We know those businesses are thankful for the boost, and we're looking forward to an even bigger boost this time next year. Brady, thank you. Taking a look now with our chief meteorologist, we have Riley Hale. And Riley, clear skies out there today following our Masters week.
Yeah, beautiful weather out there this afternoon, Laura. We saw Brady's hair was blowing a little bit. It's a little bit breezy out there. We're seeing these west winds between 15 to even up to 20 miles an hour in some spots. Definitely a fairly gusty afternoon. There's a look over Aiken County just showing bluebird skies and temperatures today warm again back into the mid-80s over in Aiken. Now here in Augusta, we're seeing those northwest winds breezy as well, up to 14, Thompson 16, even up in Wilkes County dealing with some gusty conditions. These northwest winds are bringing in some warm temps. We're up to 88 here in Bushfield, just a couple degrees away from 90. We still have not seen a 90-degree day yet so far in Augusta, but we're getting close out there today. Now, perfect evening to fire up the grill. Maybe you're grilling some hamburgers, some hot dogs. We're expecting warm temps through around 8 p.m. where we should stay in the 70s. Have a look at some rain possible later in the week in your first alert forecast.
All right, thanks, Brady. We are continuing to follow news out of Carroll County, Georgia, where a suspect is dead and multiple law enforcement officers are hurt after a police chase this morning. This all started around 3:30 on I-20 near Bremen. That's about an hour west of Atlanta. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office says an officer tried to pull someone over going 111 miles per hour. The driver stopped at first, but then took off, leading officers on a chase. We're told a passenger in the car started shooting at officers with a rifle, and those bullets did hit 3 law enforcement agents. During a news conference today, the Carroll County Sheriff said one of the suspects is dead, another is in custody, but he also offered prayers for the officers involved and their families.
First, we want to send our prayers out to all the families involved, to those officers that were shot, and for their speedy recovery. and that the doctors would do what they need to do to make sure they get the attention they need.
The 3 officers shot include one from the Villa Rica Police Department, one from the Carrollton Police Department, and one from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. The GBI has taken over that investigation. Tonight's Major League Baseball game in Minnesota is postponed after a night full of protests there. The protests are in response to an officer-involved shooting death of a black man. Police are now describing that shooting as accidental. Today, the police chief said he believes the officer who shot and killed 20-year-old Dante Wright meant to fire a taser instead of a gun, which will no doubt have to follow with a lot of explanation. Wright died yesterday after being shot by police during a traffic stop in Brooklyn Center. That is right near Minneapolis. Wright's death sparked violent protests last night into this morning. City officials say the National Guard will continue to patrol that area in the wake of the shooting and as the Derek Chauvin trial continues there in Minneapolis. New developments in this traffic stop caught on camera in Windsor, Virginia. We're learning one of the police officers involved has been fired. Army Second Lieutenant Karen Nazario is suing both officers, accusing them of pointing their guns at him, spraying him with pepper spray, and forcing him to the ground to be put in handcuffs. The incident report says Nazario was pulled over for not having tags displayed on the SUV. You can see him in his military clothing there. After a search of his vehicle turned up no violations, he was released without charge. Nazario's attorney said he filed the lawsuit to hold these officers accountable. First at 4, a South Carolina man has been charged with hitting and killing a motorcycle driver from Harlem. According to arrest records, 56-year-old Christopher Bell from Springfield is charged with homicide by vehicle. He's accused of making an illegal U-turn on Appling Harlem Road, hitting and killing 49-year-old Andrew Marcy last month. Marcy was taken to Doctors Hospital where he died on April 4th. Bell was charged April 8th after being found at fault in the crash. Also first at 4, Governor Henry McMaster has issued. The governor's office says they issued this order after they reviewed the child welfare system's ability to handle an influx of those cases if that were to happen. You've probably heard about COVID long haulers, the people who get COVID and take a while to recover from it. Our I-team showed you how it affects adults, but today David Begno shows us how one hospital is trying to help a little girl still struggling with the lingering effects of the virus.
Come on, Piper. Come on, Piper. Nice job, Piper.
These days, when 12-year-old Piper Seibert gets to run, it's in a rehab.
There you go. There we go.
She's going to the Children's Hospital and Medical Center in Omaha, Nebraska, to build back her endurance. For the last 2 months, Piper has been battling extreme fatigue.
Good job. Effort.
And that is because she's a COVID long hauler.
That is scary because you don't know if you will do something that could make you stop breathing. It's just kind of a squeezing. It almost feels like someone sitting on your chest.
Piper's mom, Sarah, says her husband tested positive for COVID last November, but no one else in the family got sick. Then, one day in February, Piper was sent home from school.
She just went from a really active kid to a very lethargic, wore out. We took an antibody test, and that proved that Piper had indeed had COVID at some point, though we don't know exactly when that was.
Dr. Jean Bauweg runs the Clinic for Pediatric Long Haulers. It treats about 10 patients like Piper every Friday.
Big breath in.
I think most of us would have expected that really symptomatic kids with acute COVID were the ones that were going to have symptoms for months, and that is just not what we're seeing.
The National Institutes of Health and the CDC are mounting a massive nationwide study of COVID long haulers, which includes children.
We don't yet have accurate data on how frequently that happens to kids.
For now, young patients like Piper have a long road to recovery.
I'm frustrated that there's not a cure for it and something that can make it go away. I don't get to do the things that I really like and enjoy to do.
David Begno, CBS News.
Man, pretty hard to see kids dealing with those effects as well. At least 5 other hospitals in the U.S. have started pediatric long-haul clinics, but keep in mind, long-haul COVID is not the same as MIS-C that we've told you about or multi-system inflammatory syndrome that we're also seeing affect some kids. We have had some of those cases here at the Children's Hospital of Georgia, so we will keep you posted on all of that. If you're looking to get vaccinated, University Hospital is hosting a vaccine clinic tomorrow. That'll be at the First Baptist Church in Augusta, and they'll be giving out the Pfizer vaccine. So if you are over 16 and you live in Georgia, you can get the shot. University has a couple of other clinics happening later this month, so if you'd like to take a look at those, you can head to wrdw.com or WRDW, head to our app and search University. A heads up for those of you in Lincoln County, starting tomorrow you can expect more traffic than usual. Everybody in Lincoln County says, what? What is traffic? GDOT crews will be out working on about 14 miles of Highway 220 over the next 2 months. You can expect delays every Monday through Thursday between Woodlawn and the Route 43 intersection. There's also several road closures happening in Columbia County this week. Roads like Flowing Wells and Moss Creek Drive will be impacted with that. So you can find those details if you want to double check before you head out. Also the times that they'll be doing that construction on our website or our app. Riley?
Well, nice weather out there to start off the week, and we're expected to stay warm the next few days, but it is looking cooler towards the end of the week, and there could be some rain mixed in by Wednesday. We'll have a look at that first alert forecast next.
Plus, we found an app claiming to make you smarter in just 5 minutes. I am all ears. We're checking it out coming up.
Tax refunds, stimulus checks, cash in hand to look for a new car.
Cars are built better than they've ever been built before.
The I-Team finds the top 5 cars, trucks, and SUVs in Augusta to make it more than 200,000 miles. Tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Call 1-800-CALL-KEN.
Well, they say one of the best ways to learn something new is to read a book, watch a documentary, or to take a class. But let's be real, moms, dads, who has time to do any of that? Well, there's some good news. Our consumer tech reporter, Jamie Tucker, is here with what an app can do to make you smarter in just 5 minutes.
Uptime is an entertaining app for iPhones, iPads, and Android devices that can not only teach new thoughts and ideas, but does it quickly. You're asked to choose at least 3 topics you're interested in. I chose about a half dozen. Uptime then curates a selection of work from books, articles, movies, and documentaries. It's kind of like an even shorter Cliff Notes version. Uptime calls them hacks. I found this book hack, Time and How to Spend It, a hack of a Beastie Boys documentary, and a course hack on business leadership by Howard Schultz. The hacks, if you will, are just 5 minutes long and features full-screen graphics, animations that you can watch or read, or Uptime reads them for you. This hack of the Malcolm Gladwell book, The Tipping Point, includes a portion of one of his TED Talks.
As an aside, Prego is a better tomato sauce than ragu.
Stick with his talk and you'll hear why he's discussing spaghetti sauce. Thousands of bite-sized hacks have fascinating topics from some of the greatest minds in the world. Uptime is free at the moment. The team says on its website they're working on a paid subscription version for later this year. It's a nice way to turn downtime to uptime. I'm Jamie Tucker, and Uptime is the app of the day.
I'm intrigued. That's pretty interesting. And the Uptime developers say their hacks are not a replacement for a book or a documentary, just a good preview. And if you like that bite-sized content, you can even purchase the full book or the film directly in the app. So pretty neat way to spend your time as you're scrolling around on your phone. You might as well learn something. Spring break fever in full swing over on Hilton Head Island. Between Easter, the Masters, and spring break, it's always busy this time of year. But beach crews there say they are seeing even more people than normal. A much-needed bounce back for the island's tourism. We heard from one hotel owner who says bookings for the summer will put them at 85% of their goal for the entire year. Meanwhile, Tybee Island is taking steps to deal with all the traffic this season brings. Over the past week, city officials say Tybee's seen more than 10,000 cars a day. And if you've been on Tybee, that's a pretty small island to accommodate 10,000 cars. But it's forced them to put some traffic controls in place a little earlier than expected. The city manager says they normally don't see crowds this big until June. So just a sample of what is to come as everyone is stir crazy and definitely overdue for a vacation. Riley, sorry I called Riley Brady earlier, which coming off a Masters week, I've got about 4 brain cells.
Kind of tall, blonde hair, relatively the same.
This is Chief Meteorologist Riley necessarily hail. I gave Brady a massive bump in his degree earlier.
When we were looking at Brady earlier, we noticed the wind. His live shot, it was blowing pretty gusty out there, and it's been shaking our Grovetown camera as well. We have seen sustained winds between 12 to even up to 18 miles an hour in some spots. We're up to 14 now in Augusta. We're only a couple degrees shy of 90 degrees this afternoon. It is very warm for us with blue skies out there. Here's a look at those sustained winds across the region. We're still up to 14 in Aiken. Here in Augusta, same thing. A little bit breezier in Thompson, and up in Wilkes County, you're up to 16. Now, Augusta is actually one of the warmer spots across the country today. We're up to 88 in Augusta, almost as warm as Phoenix. You can see some much cooler air off towards our north. So we are sitting near a front. This front is dry, not expected to bring us any rain, just separating some cooler air towards our north, and that's what's helping bring in a little bit of a breeze out of the northwest today. Now, our rain chances are looking pretty slim over the next 5 days. Nothing really showing strong rain signals until we get to Wednesday night and early Thursday morning. That appears to be the best chance for us to squeeze out a few showers. Heading into Tuesday afternoon, so for tomorrow, just expecting a few high-level clouds. We will stay dry, but we're going to keep an eye on this next approaching system that really expected to lose its legs by the time it reaches us. We should stay dry through most of the day on Wednesday. Our rain chances will be most likely after sunset Wednesday, so late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. We can see maybe a few isolated showers, not looking like anything major for us. And then by the time we get to Thursday morning, just hanging on to a few clouds, but we should stay dry during the day Thursday. So as far as the next few days, we're going to keep with those above average temperatures at least through Wednesday. But as soon as that front does move through late Wednesday, brings us a few showers, it will usher in some cooler air towards the end of the week. Not necessarily cold by any means, but we'll likely see some mornings down to the 40s, waking up Friday and Saturday, and those high temperatures will drop off into the 70s later this week as well. Now, low temperatures tonight most likely staying in the mid to low 50s for many of us. Tomorrow's going to be another gorgeous day. We're expecting plenty of sunshine. Great opportunity to maybe get some yard work done. Stuff is finally starting to grow again. I know the grass is even starting to green up a little bit. So if you have to do any lawn chores tomorrow afternoon, we're expecting those high temperatures to be much warmer than what that's saying. Don't focus on that. That was not updated. I apologize. High temperatures tomorrow are going to be into the mid 80s. Definitely not the 50s, what that graphic was showing. So another warm day and mostly sunny skies on Tuesday. Now, as we head into Wednesday night, Thursday, could squeeze out a few showers. Not a big deal for most of us. Looking dry mostly over the next 7 days.
Breaking news just into our newsroom. Richmond County deputies are responding to a shooting on Mercier Street in Augusta. Details are pretty limited right now. We don't know a whole lot, but we do know an ambulance was sent to the scene. No injuries have been confirmed, but we do have a crew on the way to put eyes on it, so we'll keep you updated as soon as they get there. Still ahead, they fight for our country, but they're not all getting the things they deserve. Why veteran families across the country are missing out on important benefits, coming up. Veterans across the country and our local vets right here at home are struggling to access the benefits they earned in service to our country. It's affecting how they live and how they're remembered when they die. And as our Washington News Bureau's Kyle Madura explains, it's all about a records backlog that's growing by the day.
Pardon if I get...
Melissa Hoagland wrestles with her emotions as she remembers her late father-in-law.
It's still just really fresh.
74-year-old Vietnam vet Jack Hoagland passed away in December after catching coronavirus. But a bureaucratic backlog of records requests prevented him from receiving a funeral with military honors.
We asked them to do the ultimate, and we can't even get them their basic benefits.
Across the country, families like Hoagland's are waiting on nearly 500,000 records requests. Getting documents normally takes days. Now it's months. Some could wait more than a year. Without the paperwork, veterans can't access health care, disability, and other military benefits. The National Personnel Records Center, run by the National Archives, manages the files. Its backlog ballooned when the pandemic closed the office. It's partially reopened, but still falls further behind every day. In a statement, the center's director says he understands frustrations with delays, while adding more staff are back on the job thanks to improved conditions. On a recent visit, the improvements didn't match Congressman Warren Davidson's expectations.
It's completely unacceptable.
Congress already gave the center emergency funding to get open and operating. Now, Davidson says it may be time to get filing help from the National Guard.
A military sense of urgency is required for this mission.
The National Archives plans to digitize documents to get the process up to speed, but it's a big job. All that paperwork would reach the top of the uprights if you stacked it end zone to end zone in an NFL stadium. In Washington, I'm Kyle Madura.
Spokespeople for the National Archives say it'll take 18 to 24 months to get through the current backlog once they're at full staff, and who knows when that'll be. But a bipartisan group of lawmakers are also asking for a meeting with President Biden's chief of staff, hopefully to cut through some of that red tape. Riley?
Well, you do have the green light to wash the car tomorrow, and I threw a yellow light on Wednesday. We should stay dry during the day Wednesday, but Wednesday night we could see a few showers. Now look at that 7-day forecast next.
Come on.
American Heart Association for details.
Have an update for you just into our newsroom. The suspects have been identified in the officer-involved shooting this morning just outside of Atlanta. Authorities say they're a pair of brothers from Alabama. 22-year-old Aaron Shelton has been charged with 5 counts of aggravated assault and 3 of aggravated battery. The suspect who was killed this morning has been identified as 28-year-old Pierre Shelton. We're continuing to follow this story. We're going to have more details for you coming up in the next half hour. Riley?
Staying pretty warm the next few afternoons, hitting highs in the mid-80s. We do have the chance for a few showers Wednesday night into Thursday, but other than that, rain chances remaining low.
That'll do it for us. Richard Rogers joining me for the next half hour. We'll see you in a few minutes.